welcome to episode 9 of our podcast on embracing the human experience. This is Mugdha
And I am Avinash.
And today we're going to talk about why the process of disillusionment is a necessary step in the actual process of you awakening to your true purpose.
Is it necessary or disillusionment can lead to finding a purpose?
I think
Not
it's
everyone
necessary.
has to go through that process.
How would you find your true purpose if you did not get...
It's like trial by fire, like you have to go through the fire.
Yeah, because I think if you look at, and we've spoken about this often in the past, right, that most of us live in society, constructed lives, conditioned by our parents, by our teachers, by authority figures. We are told how we should be leading our lives, and children often try to rebel against this. Like you look at the number of kids who cry when they're sent to school, that itself should be an indicator that this is not inherently human design, right? Like all kids sitting together still in one place without moving.
Mugging up A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H.
Yeah.
Poor kids.
Oh my God! And every child.
I put my kids through that.
I went through that. I put my daughter through that, and my daughter has gone to now a public school in Toronto, which is like the worst version of it. For a brief period here in India, she used to go to DLRC, which was a really experiential learning-based school, and that was really wonderful. But anyway, the point being that we get conditioned into living a life that society mandates through our education, through what our parents tell us is good behavior.
The good behavior.
And what we see in mainstream media, like the kind of things that you get rewarded for, the behaviors that you get rewarded for. So slowly through life.
So you meant to say they are all together creating an illusion of a life or a purpose?
They are creating a construct of a life you should be living, right? Most kids end up believing this is the ideal life. By the time you're in your teens, where you like are hormonally, everything is going on, and you're trying to rebel against some system you don't know what, and there's something going on. Actually, that phase is a very beautiful phase. That's the actual phase when the you know how in a butterfly's journey you have like the eggs and then the larvae.
2 days that butterfly is going on in your mind.
But
so it is coming away. Butterfly.
No, last 2 days where did I speak about butterflies?
Yeah, you talked about butterflies so often. You sent to someone, right, that picture, how the butterfly.
Oh yeah, right, to one of our clients, right? Yes. So I think that's been going on in my head, this process of transformation.
Are you also undergoing transformation, right?
I am always undergoing transformation. But wait, let me complete my sentence. You're not even letting me talk. But like I was saying that, like, you know, this is, I think, the design that was supposed to happen, that, like, you know, we are born and like the butterfly analogy, it's like an eggs and then larvae, and then the child is just like consuming and growing, and then it goes into this chrysalis kind of phase, which I think is the pubertal teenage phase where there is incredible change happening inside the body, right? It's like the body is getting ready for the next phase of development where the child matures into an adult, capable of reproduction and all of that. And I think the number of brain changes also that happen there is preparing the child to kind of start embracing what its true purpose might be, what its true design might be. Now, what we have seen, like, and this is not just with my own story, I'm sure this happened with my dad and his dad also, that they lived very society mandated, society conditioned life. So did I. So in that tumultuous teenage years where I felt like I had to do something, more restrictions came in.
Yeah.
I don't know if you experienced that as well, right? And
I guess that way I was a little fortunate. You do whatever you want as long as you are getting marks in the school.
So
my conditioning happened more from the school.
Academics, right?
Academic, the society's expectation. Your family is very intelligent, you should also be intelligent.
So these are innocuous restrictions. No one sat and made a curfew for you.
Yeah.
But they put
like
these expectations, like they created a box with these expectations surrounding that box. So you thought you could do anything, but you have to
follow this path.
Yeah, you were being led on a particular path only in a very gentle manner. For some people in their teenage, the restrictions are like it's really harsh, right? Like curfews are there, and like absolute
become a doctor, or you have to become
dictatorial directives are given, and some kids actually commit suicide to kind of escape that, which is really unfortunate. But the point being is, when that one phase of metamorphosis is happening, often a lot of conditioning comes, and you know that thing is suppressed. That ability to transform in that moment is suppressed. and then everyone goes into that path of normalized behavior.
Biochemically also, I think those hormones are designed to
Explode.
and
Yeah.
take you into another direction
Yeah.
or whatever direction.
But parents are
destined to
so terrified, society is so terrified.
You suppress those hormones, like you
It's-
put so much restrictions.
Restrictions and
Don't talk about sex, don't think about your bodies, don't think about your mind, whatever direction. it's
And
going.
you know, like if you look at how it is designed, that's when the child has to make a career choice. Like, what are you going to study in 11th and 12th, or even like abroad, you finish
take
your
science
high school.
or art or English or
So
whatever.
they have to kind of choose a path, and they don't get the space to just liberate themselves. So anyway, the question of is everyone living under illusion? That's what kind of you had asked, right? So I think through that journey from teenage until like I think that mid-adulthood, most people pass this path of living with this illusion of what they're supposed to do. And they expect getting validation.
Why do you call it illusion? It's a reality, right? You're supposed to have a bungalow or a car.
It
or
is.
beautiful
It is
partner,
reality.
Kids.
But it's based on a fake construct, and that's why so you think it's your reality. And then at some point you wake up and realize that this was an entire illusion.
Why do we wake up? Like during teenage years, those hormones are pushing you to
Right.
explore, do things. Again, and often this, great philosopher, it always comes to my mind, Jiddu Krishnamurti, he always used to say, burn all the books and people have stopped thinking. So our ability to think for ourselves, our ability to think, making those choices, good, bad, ugly, has been taken away since our birth. Like you were named by someone else, you were not even allowed to choose your name. So you were sent to a school of not your choice. You were made to wear a uniform which you hate, right? So you were asked to learn something which you don't like. I always, recommend people to follow Jiddu Krishnamurti because he is the one person who said you should start thinking. Humanity has stopped thinking. They are just living on the borrowed wisdom. And on borrowed wisdom, you can go as much, like your midlife crisis or till your, when you actually start thinking about yourself, what am I doing here? What was my purpose? And that entire, your thinking process is stifled from the time you were born. Your name was given by your parents. You had no role to
You couldn't.
play. You couldn't change your name. And if at all you want to change your name, there is so much of legal and judicial system around it. You couldn't choose your school, you couldn't choose your uniform, you couldn't choose your books or the subject you want to study. So, since childhood, we have been stifled not to think, we have been suppressed so that our thinking ability goes down. Now, that small spurt of hormones during our teenage years start making us uncomfortable within that body because the body wants to sprout out like a butterfly wants to come out.
Yeah.
And again, that body itself is suppressed. So you stop asking questions, you stop thinking about it, what is happening to me, why it is happening to me. Most of the time, parents are ashamed of talking about the bodily changes itself.
Right.
So we have been taught not to think. And when we actually start thinking by some sort of accident,
trauma
or disillusionment, as you said, with the
or
existing
like
set of
the slow churn in the system that you think you're doing everything right, but you still deep inside feel that something's not right, that kind of a
when you start listening to your own voice, voice of your consciousness.
So it can happen either with sudden trauma, it can happen with this sense of what the fuck am I really doing in life, which can build up over years. It can happen with some kind of desire to learn more and grow more, where you start seeking knowledge actively, more about your own self, like you'll really start trying to build self-awareness. So I've seen like there are different paths in which this can happen, right? This process of evolution and
and more often than not, it breaks the the
mold.
It breaks.
It breaks the
egg. There is kind of little bit of disturbance in the set light that has already
Yeah. So basically, how I see this is like when you choose to go with society's idea of how you should be living, it's like literally a veil is pulled over your eyes when you're living with society's ideas or society's thoughts on how you should be living. And in that veil, you kind of are creating this perfect life for yourself, the right job, the right spouse, the right kind of children, the right school that they go to, the right clothes, the right car. So you're creating all of this perfect looking reality for yourself. But you're doing that with this veil or these glasses or this filter over your eyes, which is kind of, telling you that this looks great, right? Like this is perfect looking. Or you've created the perfect design, you've created the perfect house. But inside, you know that this is not a true representation of all the questions that you might have inside or all the knowledge you're seeking, right? So that veil, and like I was saying, nearly 80% of the population lives like this, right? Like my grandparents never even had the luxury of asking these questions. Life was about survival for them, and that survival was only possible as long as they lived within the society's constructs. When I'm talking of those 5 to 10% people who actually start on this journey of opening their eyes, of removing that veil, of throwing those glasses away. And when they do that, that's when they see that everything that they were living in, that entire construct that they created was an illusion, right? So that's what I mean by illusion. You kept asking me, like, what are you saying? Illusion from the beginning, right? So the illusion I'm speaking of is that moment when you open your eyes and you wake up and you say, am I really doing what I want to do versus what is the kind of life I'm living? That's when you see, and at least that is how it was in my case, that when I finally asked that question, right, like what am I really doing here, is when I realized that while it seemed really amazing from outside, I mean, I was just checking out some of my Facebook photos for the talk I'm doing, and I was looking for old pictures. You wouldn't even guess that I was going through such turmoil internally. Very, very happy pictures everywhere, right? Now, if you looked into my eyes in that pictures, you might see that I was inside very unhappy. But externally, it looked really perfect. And only I could then realize that this is an illusion. And I think for my, like now, ex-husband, even understanding why I chose to leave, I think was the problem, because he didn't see the illusion that I saw, right? And I was disillusioned with the life I was living. He didn't even know that that was an illusion. And that's where it really went off. You were saying something about a simulation, yeah.
No, I mean, see, disillusionment happened. So the fundamental premise on which it is based is you should be open to the new idea. Okay, if you accept that illusion itself is a reality and that is your life, and you will never have that experience where you can actually go out of that bubble and see how that bubble is created, or it is being administered by so many people. How it is the entire system of the matrix you talk about. The entire matrix is getting monitored or managed by someone else, and you are just part of that entire simulation. And when that happens, that breaks happen. So we were talking about people who, like our grandparents or even people before that. So there are sporadic mentions of some kind of people in the history that I always refer to, like Kabir, or those people who were called Awliya, or who were called Pagal, or who were called mad, or witches in
witches, all the witch hunts, yeah.
So they had this kind of realization, or people like Jiddu Krishnamurti, for that matter, the recent ones, or anyone who was made to, eventually he was made into a god-like figure, but basically he was a human. I think he was that person who would come out of that entire bubble and see the world as it is.
But this is such a beautiful point you've made, right? Like it just clicked in my head that the reason I could see it was an illusion is because I stepped out of it. I got an observer's perspective to that Mugdha's life. And then when I saw it as an observer, I was like, what is this life, right? Like, what are you even doing? And then when I
want to get back in.
Yeah, when I went back, like when the observer perspective stopped and I went back, then I couldn't live that illusion anymore, right? So for a brief moment, I had that, it was that, right? Like in 2016, 2017, not even, like in 2016 that happened. Like I got access, or I stepped out of that reality and I saw who I was, and I realized that is not real for me anymore, right? So that, how does that happen? Like,
I don't know. I mean,
how did it happen for you?
So for me, it was a traumatic experience.
Right.
My kid said something and it just clicked in my head.
Yeah.
What kind of life I'm leading, and I started questioning everything. I think everything starts from that why. So when you start questioning your existence or your actions or your job or your relationship or everything start moving in that direction. Okay, why am I alive? What am I doing? Why I am in this relationship? Why I am in this job? Why I am do what I am doing? So when you start questioning and you don't find answers, then you keep seeking. The way you seek knowledge, you keep seeking, and once you start seeking, you become a seeker. You don't become just a object.
Right.
So when you become a seeker, you will find whatever you are seeking. You may not be very clear what exactly you are looking for. You will get a glimpses of so many things. You will get messages from the universe, just like you came out of your illusion for a brief moment of time. So everyone gets that opportunity when they start seeking. Okay, I want to see what am I doing.
Yeah, and I think you're right there as well, because even that opportunity to kind of see happened later. What started happening was I was asking this question to myself, that why am I unhappy? Right? Why am I not feeling happy? Everything seems like I have such a beautiful, intelligent, smart child who's like so funny, so amazing. It seems like I have a really stable marriage, right? Like no affairs, nothing like that. Like very, very.
You were in Canada, first world country.
Yeah, that was later. I actually went to Canada like this line of questioning started very early in 2016 itself. Like I was inherently unhappy. And I wanted to know why. Why could I see some, like why were there people who I could see were very free and I wasn't feeling free? I just had that curiosity, like why am I not feeling happy? Why am I not feeling free? Why am I feeling stuck? Why am I feeling compressed, suffocated, claustrophobic? Why am I feeling like that? And that line of questioning eventually led me to this experience where I could just step out and see that entire reality and how much conditioning was there, like patriarchy, how I should be behaving as a woman, how I should be living as a woman, what I should really be doing, things I should be saying yes to despite my heart wanting to say no to them. Everything just I could see, right? And then when I came back again into that reality, I was like, no, this is not what I want, right? So that, and I think the other disillusionment I also wanted to talk about, Avinash, is the conventional medicine system.
Yeah.
So one was the disillusionment with the life I was living, right? So I walked out of that and I came back to India in 2017. 2017 was a bigger shock because I was really sick by then and I thought doctors would be able to help me. And I went
Healthcare system.
the healthcare system itself, right? Like doctors are just one part of it. But the overall healthcare system would be able to help me. They'd be able to help. Like I thought, okay, I've taken this big, brave, courageous step of coming back to India. Now I want to reclaim my health back. It should be easy. But no, there were no answers only. Like, and then I had like vivid memories of how my mom had died, how that like the entire healthcare system had failed her over time. She had like literally decayed in front of my eyes, right? And there were just no answers. So that was a very big because I grew up in a hospital. My mom was a nurse. So my faith in the healthcare and medicine was enormous. And for that system to fail me when I really, really needed it was the bigger disillusionment, I would say, right? Because this was beyond my creation. This was like a systemic level thing. And then this entire thought of like, what is going on as a human? If I have to take care of my health, who is going to do it for me? Started, and then iThrive and all happened. Did you have an experience like that?
Everyone goes through that experience. Everyone gets an opportunity to look at their own illusions, whatever they have created or they were put into. It's just that you want to accept it because it's a hard way of accepting it as an illusion. Then the disillusionment steps in.
Yeah.
If you're not happy with that illusion, then you're disillusioned, right? Then
yeah.
What do I do?
Now what do I do, right? Like, okay, this is fake.
It's a fake.
Yeah.
So every person on this planet, I get once or twice in their life, they get this opportunity to look at their entire life, review it critically, see whether it is making sense or not. Most of us chose to ignore. Most of us wants to go back into the safety of that bubble. That's why you see very few people outside that bubble. Most of the people again go back and become even more miserable, but they're still content with it because
in that comfort zone.
Illusion of safety is there, illusion of security is there, illusion of relationship is there, illusion of job, and their worth comes from that illusion itself, that bubble itself. If they're outside that bubble, there is no worth. They don't have anything to showcase. So that is where, so for me it was the entire disillusionment about the relationship and the marriage itself. So that was my trigger. Why? I mean, everyone gets married. Almost everyone gets married.
And it's supposed to be happily married ever after.
Yeah, and everyone wants to be in their marriage all the time. Those who are not married, they want to get married. Those who are married, they want to get out of the marriage. But everyone is still there in the marriage. Like most of the guys nowadays, at least people are seeking divorce and all those things. But everyone, our parents, grandparents, we have seen no one was wanting to get out of it, although maybe secretly they were wishing some miracle should happen and they must get out. I am sure, like I talk to so many people nowadays, I am sure almost 99% of the people want to get out of the relationship that they are into. So my disillusionment or my illusion was that entire setup I had created, or I was part
and I'm a successful man.
I'm a successful man, whatever I wanted as a child. Okay, I should have lots of money. I should have.
I'm going to bring back the gold chains now.
Yeah. I should have good kids. I should be in a foreign country, and I should have 5-star hotel stay and all that. So everything was there, and something happened, and then I got a brief glimpse. I can come out and see. Okay, this is an illusion.
So did you, like that instance with your kid, did it give you that opportunity to step out and see? Because I distinctly remember when you said it now, I remember actually stepping out and seeing my life.
So it actually jolted me. Maybe I was in a daze because I was addicted. I was addicted to alcohol, I was addicted to smoking. I had all unhealthy habits possible now that I know what health is all
And
about.
was that done to kind of numb the feeling?
I think I acquired it to numb my own feeling. I won't say that somebody put it on me. I acquired those habits. I acquired that extra fat of 30-40 kg on my body just to dumb down my emotion or numb down my feelings. And that jolt just woke me up. Okay, I was in a daze. I was sleeping or I was intoxicated. And just woke me up for a brief moment, and I looked at my future. I was actually looking at my future. I mean, it didn't sound
there was no
promising.
future.
It didn't sound very promising. It didn't look very promising. And that is where the journey began, that hard work began to get out of that bubble. It is very difficult to break that, entire idea of whatever system you want to fight against. Like you fought against the healthcare system.
Fighting.
Yeah, still fighting. Still fighting against the healthcare system. I was fighting against the entire thing of being in a marriage and being a successful
the societal construct of your life.
Being a professionally successful person and having beautiful kids and all that. So breaking those kind of system takes lots of hard work. It requires tremendous amount of willpower. It requires tremendous amount of conviction in your own abilities.
Why did you do it? Like, what was your purpose then? Now, I'm very clear why.
I think in a way I was gifted. So I didn't see the purpose. I didn't see the future. I don't know what I was planning to do next. I had zero idea what is going to happen next. I think I was driven by one thought, I have to break free.
Escape.
That was the only thought I had in my mind. Again, break that bubble and get out. You'll see what
get out of this illusion, basically. Yes. In Hindi, there's this word, na Maya Jal.
Yeah,
it really feels like a jal, right? It really feels like a net that you're trapped in.
So my only purpose at that particular moment during those days was to break free. And that is what's driving me. And after that, I left it to the universe to take care of me. And wow, it took me to a lot of places. So I think opening up yourself to different construct or alternate systems of whatever profession or personal systems that you are following or institutional that you are bonded to. And be brave, be courageous. When I left my marriage and I came back home, all the time I had that thought in my mind, I am Bagoda, I ran away, and I am coward, and just one beautiful person came into my life and changed. How many people can do this?
Right.
You're the most courageous person I have ever seen, taking care of yourself. And that is what you get that courage, you get that conviction, and you break free and you come out of it. By disillusionment.
So for me, I think, one is like at a personal level, it happened to you, right? And you just personally had to let go of that. For me, it happened at a personal level and then it happened at a systemic level. So the personal thing gave me the courage to kind of transform myself and take care of myself. The systemic level actually gave me a career. It really helped me find true purpose with the skills I have. So the personal disillusionment of that life I was living kind of brought me closer to my innate nature, which is like the fact that I'm a healer and I can help people heal, and like it's there as a gift, right? It's innate inside me. That skill, when I had to get disillusioned with the system, somehow I found a resonance that, okay, this system has failed me, like how the earlier construct had failed me. So like I transform myself, can I transform the system and create something new? And I think that's how iThrive has been born, right? Like it's really an alternative to a system that is failing. Conventional healthcare is failing. There are enough articles on it now. It's like all over the place. Everyone knows it, that conventional healthcare, the model itself is failing. It doesn't create health for humans. It's health scare. It's not healthcare. Versus the model that I and you together and now with the team we are creating, where we are now going and transforming a systemic illusion itself. Even now, 95% of the people, when they have a health issue, they go to that system. They go to the white coats. So I call it the institution of white coats, and there's a new slap reel coming up with the white coats. But anyway, you can wait for that. So even now, 95% of people live under this illusion that this institution of white coats is what is going to take care of their health. They go there, they don't find solutions, they get disillusioned, but they don't have an option. We've not yet become so big that our name comes up first to like 95% of those people, right? So that disillusionment is happening to a lot of people. Now, if you take the judicial system, for example, right? Like, it's a joke. And it's like the biggest illusion that you will actually get justice out of the judicial system that we have in our country. I don't know about other countries. I experienced it firsthand. We have somebody in our tribe who's experiencing it professionally as well, right? Where the system itself is failing, like the design. It's supposed to protect the fundamental rights of humans, and that design itself is being failed by the system. So will that kind of disillusionment then create an alternative to the judicial system? Will it create kangaroo courts with hired assassins who will be like, you know, you did this person wrong? Yeah. So I don't know, right? Like I don't know what alternative system might come for the judicial system, but basically the one thing that I could create was an alternative system for the healthcare system. Now, you had a question just now for me, which is like, what if all of this is an illusion as well? So I don't know, I'm going to throw it back at you.
Even the alternative, what we are trying to create, all the other people who are trying to create on this planet, like other day we were talking to Vandana Shiva. She was trying to create an alternative to the Monsanto or the seed companies. We will have our own generic seeds. So what if that itself is an illusion? Like what happens?
Yeah, basically like, to me it's like grains only should not be eaten. Anyway, we won't go there. But like since you asked me that question, no, like right now I'm thinking that what if this entire relationship that you and I have, that we've spoken about so often and it seems so amazing, what if that itself is an illusion, right? Like,
marriage, right?
Yeah, like what if that itself is another illusion, right? And then where does this end? I don't know.
I think the fundamental difference, as you said, Mugdha, is we are more aware of what is happening to us. We are consciously choosing one thing over the other. We are evaluating all the options. In any of these situations, we are not left with option at any point of time. When you were named, you were not left with any option to change your name. Or when you are put into school, you were not given an option. You can't go. There is a choice. You don't have to go to school. Or when you chose a particular profession or whatever the societal construct that you followed. So, we were not given choice as a teenager, as a child, as a even grown-up man. In so many things, like there is no alternative to judicial system. There is no choice. We don't have a choice. We have to go. If there is a dispute, I have to go to the court. If there is something which is going wrong in this country, I have to follow the democracy setup, which is the most fucked up system in the entire world. So far, that we have an illusion that we have control over these people whom we are electing every 5 years, and that is like the biggest illusion. I think
the government is like the biggest illusion that
the world has successfully implanted in our mind democracy is like people's power. That is the bullshit. Um, but fundamentally, whatever we are trying to create in terms of relationship, in terms of alternate healthcare model, in terms of making you a sovereign individual being, is you are the master. You consciously choosing.
And there's one word for that: consent.
Yeah. So consent become very, very important because it is out of your own free will that you're doing. Your consent is not taken by force or by inducement or by some kind of deceit. It was informed consent that you were in a free place. You decided to follow certain things. You decided to get into relationship. You decided to follow this approach to your healthcare. So that is where I think that this illusion looks more conceptually more clear, conceptually more evolving.
So you're choosing, right? Like you are making choices out of awareness versus, like you are doing it because you want it, not because someone else said this is how it has to be done, right? So it, in the end, right, this entire construct itself, like dunya maya hai or whatever there is.
So you move from one construct to another, that itself is a growth that allows you to.
So you create a new construct, which, like, if you look at how reality is created and energy and the matrix and all, everything is in the end an illusion. Like even having a body and having a separate identity is an illusion. We are all from source, we come from one place and we are all like one. We are not even separate, right? To think that we are separate itself is the biggest illusion. But in our separateness, when Avinash and I are speaking of disillusionment, we are speaking of you living a life that is not of your consent, but by somebody else's choice, living that life and thinking it's perfect. And in the moment of awakening, when you realize, okay, you are living a lie, is the disillusionment that we're talking of, right? So it is like all of life is an illusion.
What does it lead to? Like we were talking, the topic itself was like disillusionment will lead to finding your purpose.
Yeah, so
do that. I mean, it happens in most of the cases where people get disillusioned and they commit suicide.
Yes, they'll commit suicide or they'll devolve, right? So yesterday I was giving this analogy to one of the people that we work with on the embracing the human experience itself. So I was like, you are like in an egg and you now are feeling extremely uncomfortable in that space. You're feeling like you need to get out of it. You're feeling like you're stuffed and like, outgrown that space and you need to break out of that. And maybe when you were inside that egg, you had this idea that this is how the world is. It's safe, it's comfortable, it's warm, and it's like everything I need is there inside here only. I don't need to do anything to get food or anything. And then when you start breaking that egg to come out, you start seeing how much effort it is. Like if you're a chick, then you will have to have a beak and you'll have to have legs to make that happen. If you're a pupa coming back to butterflies, you'll actually have to have wings to come out of the chrysalis. If you're like a baby that's birthing out of the womb, you'll actually have to do so much effort to kind of come out with every contraction. And birthing is a painful process. So in that birthing, sometimes what happens, like that disillusionment, right? Like part of the shell breaks and you see outside and it's a big unknown world. Like there is nothing known there, right? Like
you want to go back.
Everything is unknown. Like you'll have to figure out how to make money now. You'll have to figure out new friendships. You'll have to figure out how to live in this big wide world that everything seems strange and unknown. You'd rather go back to that eggshell, right? And when you go there, there is no space for life there, right? That space is broken. So most people like either physically experience death by suicide or consciously just start devolving and just start collapsing within themselves, like literally like black holes, right? They start shrinking. Some people, when they start shrinking and going inwards, then they start sourcing energy from others. These are the ones who start becoming narcissists. These are the ones who really become toxic people in life because they're not fully ready to die. They want life, but they have nothing to generate life from within themselves. And they'll start just pulling life from everybody else around them. These people vicariously live through children, right? Like they will harness children's life to just give them some degree of energy. And that's the risk of not fully getting out of the disillusionment, right? Like you wake up, you see, oh, this is something that's really ugly and not pleasant to me, but it's comfortable. So I'm going to go back and then I'm going to make everyone else feel unpleasant and ugly and like unhappy while I'm feeling that. So yeah, that happens to a lot of people, right? So that's one part where you go back, end it for yourself. The other and the more beautiful part, the butterfly.
I think it is going to take another episode to understand actually when you get disillusioned, how do you find your purpose?
Yeah.
What exactly?
I really think, yeah. So I thought we could cover this today, but I think
the illusion and disillusionment itself, understanding that concept itself is a big task.
So I think the next step, and I think that's where our conversation should flow, is how do you then create a sense of acquired safety as you go around fulfilling your true purpose, right? I think that's like,
I think we should cover it in the next topic.
yeah, because it's too much, right? Like even like when I say it, it sounds very romantic that, oh, I got disillusioned with the healthcare system, so I created an alternative. Very beautiful, very romantic, very rebellious, revolutionary. But you guys have no idea how difficult the first few years were. Like they really were horrendously difficult, enough to make me contemplate suicide quite often. It really was bad, right? And then like at one point where it got really difficult, I even went back to Toronto to the same construct of the marriage.
There was no space.
It was a disaster doing that, but yeah.
I think we should pause here and we should connect again in the next episode. We'll talk about the disillusionment, how it leads to the purpose.
Yeah.
And is there a purpose?
And like actual tangible steps, right? Like if people could take away, like, okay, do this, do this, do this, do this.
Yeah,
These are the steps that you take as you start finding your true purpose. Because a lot of people are waking up now, right?
So even if someone asks me what is the only thing that I should do, I said open up. But I think that also needs an explanation. What to open up?
Yeah.
Not that you have to take off your clothes and run on the road. That is not the thing. Yeah, we'll keep talking, guys.
And like there are things that are important in that process, like trust, like
trusting the universe itself is a
trusting yourself, no? That you can do this. Yeah. So yeah, let's talk about that in the next podcast.
Thank you guys for listening in. Do subscribe, comment, share.
And please do share. And
let us know what you think about whatever we are talking about.
Yep. All right.
Thank you.